Today's Faith Talk is entitled, Your Part in the Grand Biblical Story. Have you ever sat in a dark theater, locked your eyes on the screen, and completely forgotten that what you are watching isn't actually happening all at once? When we watch a movie, we are gripped by the immediate tension of the scene. We wonder if the hero will survive, if the plot will twist, or if the tragedy is final. But the reality of cinema is that the entire movie is already printed on the film. The ending is already secure. It is simply moving past the projector lens at 24 frames per second. That is exactly how we live our lives. We live frame by frame. We are trapped in the anxiety of the current second, entirely blind to what is coming in the next scene. But God, our director, doesn't live in the projector booth. He sees the whole movie from beginning to end, from the first garden in Genesis to the final garden in Revelation. He authored the script. He set it in motion, and he knows exactly how the final scene plays out. Because the director sees the whole picture, he doesn't just sit back and watch. He is actively involved. For those of us who are believers, his primary work is internal. He whispers character cues directly into our hearts, shaping how we react to the drama around us. But every now and then, the director chooses to step directly onto the set. We call these miracles. A miracle is simply the director temporarily bending or suspending the very natural laws he created to ensure the story hits the exact narrative beat he intended. Sometimes these are massive, global special effects, nature itself bending to his will. But more often, they are deeply personal, quiet interventions. A sudden door opening, an unexplained healing, a supernatural peace in the middle of chaos. When you are stuck in a hard frame, you have to remember, the director hasn't abandoned the set. He is managing the script. This brings us to a massive problem on the set of modern Christianity. When a person comes to Christ, when they are saved and redeemed, it is the ultimate, life-changing, inciting incident. But too often we leave new believers standing on the stage completely confused. They look at their armor, they look at the battle raging around them, and they ask, "What exactly was I saved from? And what was I redeemed for?" If an actor is dropped into the middle of a massive, epic movie without ever reading the script, they are going to play their part terribly. They won't know who the enemy is, they won't understand the conflict, and they will fumble their lines. Discipleship is handing the believer the grand script. It is teaching them the whole biblical arc. You cannot fully defend your faith or stand firm in your role if you don't know the backstory. When we understand the grand narrative, from creation to the fall to redemption to restoration, we suddenly realize why our specific character matters. We transition from a confused extra to an intentional, equipped participant in God's unfolding story. But let's be honest about what it feels like to stand on that stage. As we play out our lives, we are performing in a massive amphitheater, and we are being heavily critiqued. If you look out from the stage lights, you will see 4 distinct audiences watching your every move. The world sits in the lower balcony. They are loud, and they demand that you stick to their cultural script. The moment you play your Christian role faithfully, they will boo, they will mock, and they may even try to cancel or ostracize you for breaking their narrative. The church sits in the main mezzanine. They are watching to see if you are the real deal or just a pretender. Sometimes they offer beautiful support, but other times they bring harsh, legalistic, and flawed reviews based on their own traditions rather than the director's intent. Your family sits in the front rows. They see the backstage behavior. They are the critics who know if the actor on the stage matches the person in the dressing room when the lights go down. It is incredibly easy to get distracted by the noise, the applause, or the boos of these three audiences, but none of their reviews matter. Because sitting right in the center of the front row, holding the original script, is the only critic who counts: Jesus. How does he see you playing your part? Are you fulfilling the unique requirements of the role he penned for you in his book? The greatest tragedy on the stage of life is the actor who plays to the loud, screaming crowds in the balcony, winning a standing ovation from the world, while the director in the front row silently shakes his head. Stop looking at the balcony. Stop trying to satisfy the critics who didn't write the story. Lock your eyes on the front row. Listen for the internal cues of the Holy Spirit. Trust the script, play your part with everything you've got, and live for the only review that matters. Well done, good and faithful servant.